EDSA still congested despite Skyway opening. Department of Transportation offers free snacks to vaxxed passengers. COVID-19 back in Wuhan. Lacson-Sotto connecting with history. Velvet gloves versus ECQ violators. Petecio peers out. 13 billion pesos ayuda must reach poor. Meralco suspends disconnections. Lovi Poe as insecure, jealous spouse in the other wife. Customs condemn smuggled cigarettes. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Today is Wednesday, August 4, 2021, and here are the latest news of the hour. From his home in Santa Rosa, Laguna, Leo de la Cruz is always traversing the South Luzon Expressway, going to his work in a recording studio in Quezon City. It usually takes him 2 hours to travel, but with the Skyway Stage 3 opening, his travel time was cut to 45 minutes. De la Cruz recounted it was at ease traveling from Laguna to Quezon City because of the Skyway, but that was when it was open for free. Now that it started collecting toll on July 12, which are a bit costly for him, he had to avoid using it or else he will go over his allotted budget for the day. He added that what he do now is make sure to leave the house 2 hours before his time starts in the office. If he wants to go there for the new Skyway, he might have to sacrifice buying lunch and doesn't want to do that. De la Cruz, 27, is using his family car. He said aside from his expenses for gas and food, he has to shell out an additional 528 pesos for the toll fee of his Class 1 vehicle if he wants to use the Skyway. As approved by the Toll Regulatory Board or TRB, the toll fee for Class 1 vehicles going to and from Quezon Avenue was set at 264 pesos. The fees for Class 2 vehicles are twice the amount of Class 1 and thrice for Class 3. According to Laguna-based Christopher C., who works as an IT head officer in Makati, using the Skyway is not a problem for him only because his car was issued by his company and he has an additional transportation allowance. According to him, he just got lucky because his company was generous to offer him a company car. But using the Skyway every morning is still a bit expensive for him. C29 is a father of 3 children. He said paying for additional toll fee is still burdensome for him. The San Miguel Corporation said it worked within the TRB to arrive at toll rates that are much lower than the original toll fee matrix, particularly for vehicles traveling shorter distances. The Skyway O&M, the operator of the Skyway Stage system under SMC infrastructure, said the toll fees will provide company revenues to ensure operations and maintenance. The government will also generate income from the fees as it collects 12% value-added tax. SMC reported a total of 246 million pesos in waived fees spanning over 15 months. The company has spent 80 billion pesos or almost double the original cost to complete the project. Consumer Sentiment Imminent Laban Consumer Incorporated President Attorney Vic Dimagiba underscored that consumer sentiment against the toll fee collected by Skyway O&M was understandable. However, Dimagiba noted that the toll fee for the road project was legally processed by the TRB. Dimagiba told the Daily Tribune that any toll fee for road projects passes the TRB hearing and processing. EDSA is the shortest route between north and south, and motorists use EDSA for that purpose. He also added that those using Skyway and alternative routes serve their specific needs and should be willing to pay the fee since those could be the shortest route for that specific purpose. And noted that EDSA, which was supposed to be decongested by the Skyway, still remains the main thoroughfare of the Metro Manila. Department of Transportation, Secretary Artogade wants free snacks to be given to vaccinated passengers in all Philippine Ports Authority terminals across the country. It is a way to encourage more Filipinos to avail of the anti-COVID vaccines while ensuring safer travels to all. A memorandum on Tuesday signed by PPA General Manager Jay Santiago ordered all port managers to give vaccinated passengers free snacks in all PPA port terminals until August 20, when the strict enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila is expected to be lifted. Santiago told port managers that in support of the government's COVID-19 vaccination program and in consonance with the mandate of the PPA to keep its ports safe, they are directed to make available free light snacks for all vaccinated passengers passing through terminals under their area of responsibility. The free snacks at the PPA port terminals will cover passengers who have received the required number of COVID-19 doses or even partial doses, the memorandum said. For our foreign news, authorities in China's Wuhan said Tuesday they would test the city's entire population for COVID-19 as the virus returned to the place where it first emerged, and the highly contagious Delta variant drove tightening lockdowns worldwide. A resurgent virus has returned with a vengeance, buoyed by stalling vaccination rates and deadly new mutations, even in places that had long touted their successes in overcoming the worst of the pandemic. China brought domestic cases down to virtually zero after the coronavirus first emerged in Wuhan, allowing the economy to rebound and life to return largely to normal. But a fresh outbreak has thrown that record into jeopardy as the fast-spreading Delta variant reaches dozens of cities after infections among airport cleaners in Nanjing sparked a chain of cases that have been reported across the country. In Wuhan, where the virus first emerged in December 2019 and which faced a grueling lockdown in the early months of the pandemic, authorities said that they were launching a mass testing program for all 11 million residents. And across China, authorities have confined the residents of entire cities to their homes, cut domestic transport links, and rolled out mass testing in recent days as the country battles its largest coronavirus outbreak in months. Millions are still under movement restrictions in Australia, where troops Monday hit the streets of the country's largest city of Sydney and surrounding areas, which are entering the 6th week of a lockdown set to run until the end of August. Authorities have been struggling to stop the spread of the highly infectious Delta variant in the city and to ensure that residents follow containment rules, with more than 3,600 cases recorded since mid-June. In other news, Senator Panfilo Lacson and Senate President Vicente Sotto III will have their battle cry KKK in next year's presidential and vice presidential elections. KKK stands for Kakayahan, Karanasan, Katapangan, according to former House Speaker Pantaleon Bebot Alvarez, who said the two have already proven themselves as competent, experienced, and brave leaders. The slogan seems to have been loosely pegged on the KKK, or Kataas-Taasang Kagalang-Galangang Katipunan ng Mga Anak ng Bayan, revolutionary organization that fought the Spaniards at the end of their 4th-century conquest of the Philippines. During a recent roundtable discussion with editors and reporters of the Daily Tribune, Alvarez said that Lacson, running for president, and Sotto, seeking the vice presidency, will offer solutions to the problems of the Philippine society. Alvarez said that they are not discussing the platforms of the Reforma just yet, but hinted they will deal decisively with the pandemic expected to be still around past the 2022 elections. He said the country's indebtedness will also be at the top of their agenda. Also a former transportation official, Alvarez said he is endorsing the candidacy of Lacson and Sotto based on his consultations with people at the grassroots level all over the country. He said Lacson and Sotto form a formidable team and that he's more than willing to predict they'll win even in the absence of a big campaign budget. Alvarez was one of the men who backstopped Duterte's landslide victory in the 2016 presidential derby. He said he's feeling now for Lacson and Sotto what he felt during the Duterte campaign. As to the tandem's competence in resolving the ballooning outstanding debt of the Philippines at 11.07 trillion pesos, as well as a 7.7% unemployment rate as of May 2021, he said the two senators are already seasoned when it comes to fiscal discipline. Lacson has been known to have eagle eyes in scrutinizing the budget to ensure accountability, Alvarez averred. He assured the public last week that the Senate will pass the 5.024 trillion pesos national budget for 2022, but that he'll grill officials on why government's borrowings are bigger than the projected deficit. Alvarez said that they already have come up with a senatorial slate that will compromise the Lacson-Sotto team under Reforma Party. He named those in the list as former Senator J.V. Ejercito, Sorsogon Governor Francis Cheese Escudero, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, Senator Richard Gordon, Information and Communications Technology Secretary Gringo Honasan, former Elections Commissioner Gregorio Goyo Larazabal, ex-senator and now Antique Representative Lauren Legarda, later Republic Lucy Torres Gomez, Senator Joel Villanueva, and Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still phone remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
The Philippine National Police on Tuesday tasked lawmen to strictly implement border controls and curfew hours in Metro Manila once the strictest quarantine status takes effect, but reminded them to be courteous and respectful. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar ordered the National Capital Region Police Office to ensure the strict implementation of the two measures when the metropolis undergoes enhanced community quarantine from 6th to 20th August. The strict border control and the longer curfew hours are but some of the necessary interventions to help prevent the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19, he said. According to Eleazar, the longer curfew hours earlier announced by local governments in Metro Manila will prevent mass gatherings in communities. In a mix of English and Filipino, Eleazar said, "We can stop mass gatherings from happening, like drinking sessions and parties, which pose big possibilities of becoming super spreader events." Eleazar directed policemen to coordinate with barangay officials in enforcing Metro Manila's uniform curfew from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. They also added, police will also help enforce the liquor ban that will be implemented by some local government units in the capital, he said. In an interview with the Daily Tribune's morning show, Gising Na, PNP spokesperson General Ricardo Olay said 66 quarantine control points have so far been set up along the borders of the NCR Plus bubble. Olay said restricting people's movements through border controls and curfews will bolster efforts to locate persons who might have already contracted COVID-19 as well as their close contacts. "This is like a preemptive strike and this is for the citizens," Olay said. Adding lawmen who will enforce ECQ rules have been reminded by Eleazar to be courteous and respectful of human rights. Olay stressed cops have been told not to punish people who commit minor violations. The lists of businesses allowed to operate under the ECQ have also been disseminated to ground units to prevent misunderstandings like those that happened last year when the strictest quarantine status was first imposed, he said. Policemen who will be enforcing ECQ rules have also been told to avoid, as much as possible, making physical contact with people crossing borders and even the documents that they will be representing. According to Olay, if possible, there may be sticks that may be used to check documents so there be no need for close contact. No close contacts, he said. The police-led joint task force COVID Shield came up with that measure amid an increase in the number of lawmen who contracted COVID-19, particularly after conducting security operations for President Rodrigo Duterte's recent State of the Nation address. Ground commanders, on the other hand, have been tasked to conduct daily checks on the health of their personnel, Olay said. Eleazar reiterated his previous calls for the public to follow health protocols and quarantine guidelines. Eleazar also said, we have seen the effects of the Delta variant in India, and they have noted reports on how strong this virus is from other countries hit by it. So it is just right that the government has acted fast so there's no blame laying in the end. Nesty Petecio failed to rewrite Philippine sports history in terms of Olympic gold medal haul, but still made a mark, becoming the first Filipino boxing medalist in the Summer Games. This after she fell short of her gold medal drive against old rival Tena Irie of Japan in women's featherweight final that lacked the fireworks that typically mark grudge matches in a championship bout. Instead, there were lots of holding, shoving, pushing with Irie seeming to opt to lock Petecio in sweet embrace after being tagged by the Filipina fighter in brief exchanges in the deciding round, which the judges all saw it, 5-0, for the home bet at the Kokugikan Arena in Tokyo. Irie, who eased out Petecio for an Olympic berth in the Asia and Oceania qualifiers, clinched the women's featherweight gold medal via unanimous decision with 4 29-28 verdicts and the 30-27 count. The two fighters split the first two rounds with so much grappling and less action, with the Japanese taking command early by sneaking clean combinations to the head in the first minute to earn the nods of the 5 judges. But Petecio went on an attack mode in the second, fighting her target in close encounters on 1-2 combinations that forever forced the Japanese to hold on the former to evade more devastating punches. The Filipina took that round 4-1, sending the gold medal match into a decider. Petecio kept on pounding the Japanese, landing with her combinations, but Irie would come out with equally solid counters to the head, and the duo would slug it out until the end of the bout. The judges, however, saw it for Irie, who thus dealt Petecio her third defeat in 4 face-offs with the Japanese ace. Petecio told a packed press conference the first time for the Olympic boxing competition that it means a lot to her. According to her, she dedicates this fight to the country and her family and her best friend who died last February. But most especially, she dedicates the silver medal to her coach, Boy Velasco, for the coach's tireless efforts in bringing Petecio where she is right now. Petecio said she wouldn't give up on her Olympic dream. "I will still continue," she said when asked about her plan. Like champ Heidelin Diaz, she won the silver medal in Rio and gold here at age 30, so the quest continues. "I will never give up," Petecio added. Petecio's silver thus was the first by a Filipino fighter in the Summer Games and matched the Philippines' highest finish in boxing in the Olympics after Mansueto Onyok Velasco in 1996 in Atlanta and Anthony Villanueva in 1964 in Tokyo. On her way to the gold medal match, the Davao del Sur fine whipped Marcela Sakubi of Congo, stunned Taiwanese world champion Lin Yunting, 3-2 dominated Colombia's Yenny Castañeda, 5-0, then upended European champion Irma Testa of Italy 4-1. Irie and Petecio also became the first medalists in the Olympic Games women featherweight as the 54-57 kilogram category made its debut in Tokyo. Meanwhile, ECQ is expected to increase poor people by 177,000 and the unemployed by 444,000 according to Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua. The government will spend 13 billion pesos to fund cash grants for nearly 11 million low-income residents in Metro Manila who will be affected by the region's return to the strictest lockdown classification, Malacanang announced Tuesday. The funds will be sourced from the savings or unobligated appropriations as well as the excess revenues of all agencies under the Executive Department, Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said. According to Roque, they will get the funds from all agencies of the government in accordance with Administrative Order 41 issued by President Rodrigo Duterte last May. Of the amount, Roque said 11 billion pesos was earmarked for distribution, while 2 billion pesos will serve as a contingency fund in case there will be additional beneficiaries. He also added that the 2 billion pesos was just a provision for contingency. Senator Christopher Bongo, who first announced the president's decision to provide cash aid in ECQ areas, appealed to local officials to prevent irregularities during cash aid distribution. Through a statement, Senator Go said, since the funds have been downloaded by the local government units in Metro Manila, he appealed to officials to ensure that the cash aid will be distributed to deserving beneficiaries through a convenient, quick, and safe process without corruption. The imposition of ECQ is expected to increase the number of poor people by up to 177,000 and the unemployed by 444,000 according to Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua. About 105 billion pesos will be lost by the economy for each week Metro Manila was under hard lockdown, he added. The beneficiaries are expected to receive 1,000 pesos financial assistance or a maximum of 4,000 per household during the strictest ECQ period from August 6 to 20 August. Roque's announcement came a day after officials We'll be back shortly. In other news, Meralco is suspending disconnection activities in the National Capital Region and the province of Laguna following the reimposition of stricter quarantine measures. The company said Tuesday the moratorium on disconnection activities in Metro Manila will start on 6th to 20th August during enhanced community quarantine and 1 to August 15 in Laguna during modified ECQ. Ferdinand Geluz, Meralco FPV and Chief Commercial Officer said, given the current situation, they continue to take into consideration the challenges their customers are facing amid these difficult times. Thus, they will be again suspending all disconnection activities in NCR and Laguna to help ease the burden of all affected customers with the needed relief and additional time to settle their bills. Meralco reiterated that it will be continuing vital operations such as meter reading while working around the clock to serve its customers. The rest of Meralco's franchise area remains under general community quarantine with heightened restrictions, particularly Bulacan, Cavite, the province of Rizal, and Lucena City from 1 to 15 of August. Batangas and Quezon Province will remain under GCQ for August. For customers in areas under GCQ, Geluz assured that Meralco will continue to be very considerate during this period and vowed to assist customers with their concerns. Meralco reiterated that it will continue vital operations such as meter reading, following the order of the Energy Regulatory Commission, and will also continue to work round the clock to serve its customers. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
For our showbiz news, Lovi Poe says she looked down on herself to the point of feeling worthless to be credible in her role as an insecure person in The Other Wife, a Vivamax original movie. In a recent Zoom meet with media, the 32-year-old actor pointed out that the tempestuous nature of the movie story does not necessarily mean it's all about temporal affairs. She plays Janice, whose marriage to Ronnie, who plays by Joan Bascon, needs mending, and so they take a vacation in a seaside town. They run into Ronnie's childhood friend Luisa, played by Ren Escaño, and that's when the conflict starts as Janice suspects the two are rekindling a romantic relationship. Poe explained the method she adopted to portray Janice. She had to criticize herself every morning, all her insecurities, and then look at them, and then compare herself to the character. Everyone, Poe said, has his or her own insecurities. She turned to herself and magnified her own anxieties and worries when she was on the set. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Customs has condemned about 500 rims of smuggled cigarettes with an estimated worth of 350,000 pesos as part of the major campaign adopted by the BOC Zamboanga District Office against the entry of smuggled goods to Lamitan City. Basilan Province Sub-Port Collector Nurin Hakimin said yesterday that the smuggled cigarettes were seized by the province's Philippine Coast Guard on Tuesday night, August 3. According to Hakimin, he was ordered by BOC Zamboanga City District Collector Segundo Barty Jr. last Wednesday to immediately destroy or condemn the confiscated smuggled cigarettes to show smugglers our strict campaign against smuggling of cigarettes. He added that the Bureau of Customs will not tolerate the entry of smuggled goods to the province in general. Moreover, the condemnation was held in public and were witnessed by the PCG, and some local government officials of Lamitan City. Hakimin also reported that PCG operatives led by Commander Javelino A. Sally intercepted the MB Kumala loaded with the contrabands near the coastline of Lamitan City shortly before midnight. Two crews of the watercraft owned by operated and by a certain Mujah D. Abu Bakar were held by questioning at Barangay Kulay Bato in Lamitan City. Hakimin said that the District Collector Barte was emphasized to us never to allow the entry of smuggled goods, particularly cigarettes, in Basilan Province. According to Barte, he was ordered by Chief Ray Leonardo Guerrero to intensify border control against entry of imported smuggled goods. During the initial investigation, that the smuggled cigarettes was found branded with Canon, Fort, and Astro. It was scheduled to be delivered to local traders at the Lamitan City Public Market. And that wraps up the stories for this morning. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, the Department of Tourism, Araneta Center and Alan Lin, Council members, Overseas Community Affairs Council, Republic of China for their continued support, and MJ Motors, Hina Motors, and Security Bank. Again, this is Venice Bautista, and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, TribuneNow. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.